Hey guys, Marsinged here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I'm continuing on with this little series of videos that I've started where we take a bunch of the teams that I consider to be some of the best in the game up against the Blue Zone, Blue Gogeta, Beast Gohan, and then Stage 2 of the Cell Max event, just to see how well they do. The goal for the video, as we said before in the previous ones, is to use the same team, so basically to build a version of the team that will be good enough to handle all three of those events. Obviously, you know, if you're trying to do tough events when they come out, trying to do certain missions and stuff like that, you're not always going to be using the exact same team build, right? Like you might switch out one unit for the Beast fight, you might change that to a different unit for the Cell Max fight, but we're trying to see if we can make a build that can then get through all three fights and see how good that is in comparison to some of the other ones. We've already done the Reps of Universe 7 team and Superheroes, so do check those out. But this is one of my favourite teams in the game at the moment, the TEQ VEGETA from Saiyan Day team. So it's not really, you can't call it a Super Saiyans team, because obviously we have King Vegeta and we have Blue Evolution Vegeta on there. So it's just the Saiyan Day Vegeta team, Super Saiyans or Vegeta family. Everybody on this team gets the 200% leader skill, apart from the physical Gogeta. So very good team. King Vegeta, very good banner unit. Obviously Blue Evolution Vegeta with his Easy A is really good, and Broly is very powerful. Really benefits from having that Vegeta in slot 1 to be the solid wall of defense, and then he can just go off. And then of course STR Goku Vegeta, if we get into the right situation, get the fusion, Vegito, 10-turn scouter, counters, obviously very good. So yeah, this is the TEQ Saiyan Day Vegeta team. We will go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so jumping straight in against the Blue Gogeta fight here. We do have a good starting setup. We've got a Vegeta on both turns, which is exactly what we want. It's one of those things, we talked about it a little bit I think in the other video as well, but like having a bad starting rotation is sometimes just, you know, straight up death. Sometimes just a really bad setup and can cause you to die in the second or third turn, and this can apply to even some of the best teams in the game, right? So especially when you're running a team build like with Beast, although obviously his team does have other options, so does Vegeta, but these teams where your leader character is basically who you want to be in slot 1 on both your rotations. So if you end up getting both of them on the same turn, depending on who else is on the team, however many other units you have that can actually handle slot 1, and of course, you know, you might have both your leaders on turn 1, and then the only other slot 1 unit is in slot 7, and so you have no slot 1 units on turn 2. So starting rotations can always play a big factor in the starting setup for these events, but we did get pretty much exactly what we want here, because we want one TEQ Vegeta together with AGL Broly, and then we want the other TEQ Vegeta together with Blue Evolution Vegeta, and we have those rotations set up from the start. We have the STR Goku and Vegeta in slot 7. I mean, the thing is with them, we do want them to get as many attacks off as possible so that they can get stacks on their attack and defense, but mostly their defense, obviously, but it is what it is, right? I would have preferred to have had them on, I mean, realistically, turn 1 would have been nice, but either way. King Vegeta, very good unit. I mentioned him briefly at the beginning when we were talking about the team. He is a character, I might do this actually, because Vegeta, TEQ Vegeta is the one that wants stacks, and Imp Vegeta wants to get hit to build up his revival condition. So we'll go ahead and do this, because we saw what happened on the last turn. The unfortunate thing is in some of these events, and of course now they didn't do it, is with the bosses that can seal you or stun you, if you have your unit in slot 1 wants to get hit first, or is just your defensive like wall character, so you're putting them in slot 1, TEQ Vegeta, we of course want him to super attack as much as possible so that he can stack his defense. So him getting hit with a super in slot 1 and getting sealed is obviously annoying, because it means we don't get that build up, right? So yeah, see, again, we've got 2 attacks here in slot 1, but Vegeta is our slot 1 unit, right? We don't want to put anyone else in slot 1 here. We could keep these guys on rotation, I guess, to get some extra stacks, but it means floating Broly around. Broly doesn't stack defense, though, so it's not really the end of the world. So I think maybe I will do that, just so that we can get some extra stacks for the boys here. Of course, Broly in slot 3 gets extra key and gets an extra super, so there is a little bit of room to like play around with changing up the rotations and stuff based on the typing of the enemy or where you want to fit characters in. Because I would say, I think I mentioned it in a previous video, but like the one downside to this team, because I really like this team, like I said at the beginning, this is one of my favorite teams to run in the game at the moment, but The one downside I would say for this team is that there are a lot of units that do want to be getting stacks, but of course you can only have so many units on rotation. So early on it's a good idea to potentially alternate units on rotation, just so that you can get as many stacks as possible. And of course, Vegeta gets the benefit of, by having a character on rotation whose name includes Goku, he has the chance to do an extra attack. So by keeping the STR Goku and Vegeta on rotation with him, they share a decent number of links with him as well. That enables him to potentially get that extra stack. And then these guys do get quite a few supers potentially in a turn. Each one is stacking their defense. It means Broly might not get a huge amount of attacks in here, but Broly is only stacking his attack. Now I say only because obviously the more you get him built up, Broly can just go absolutely crazy. But if he stacked defense, it would be more important to keep him on rotation. So these guys do have a little bit of damage reduction. We've got a couple of supers off here. 87k, that's fine. And then Broly. My Broly doesn't have a lot of crit. So in base, his crit chance is quite low, but in these kind of circumstances, that's probably beneficial because it means he should be able to get a few super attacks off here before killing Goku and Vegeta. Maybe it will only be 2, but get those extra stacks for his attack. Infinitely stacking attack. And then, of course, with Broly, with his transformation and his domain, we have the 2 TEQ Vegetas, Broly himself, and then King Vegeta are all extreme units. So they do get buffed by Broly's domain. Now the buff doesn't apply obviously to the superclass units on the team, but we're also doing some of these events now, especially when we're doing Gogeta and Beast Gohan, where we're not buffing our enemies with the attacks as well. So we'll go ahead and do this. Blue Evolution Vegeta can get 3 hits in here in the middle and get his build up. Sometimes, depending on the number of attacks, like, see, this is exactly why I didn't do this. Depending on the number of attacks coming your way in the turn, you could always put Blue Evolution Vegeta in slot 1 so you can get some build up towards his revival. But, of course, if he takes the first attack of the turn as a super, he can take a lot of damage. And I mean, as you can see, TEQ Vegeta can still take a decent bit of damage as well. The friend one and my one, I think, are only 1 dupe, right? Because my summons for Saiyan Day were okay, but they weren't anything crazy. Definitely would love Vegeta to come back at some point soon. Usually the Saiyan Day character comes back around October. Because, yeah, getting that second dupe, getting the gold skill orb slot unlocked would obviously be very, very beneficial. But Blue Evolution Vegeta on the team does provide that great opportunity for having the revival. So we should be looking good. Also, of course, by keeping the Goku Vegeta on rotation last time, we now have them on rotation, ready for them to get the fusion into Vegeta, get the full heal. King Vegeta will be perfectly fine at the end here, even if Gogeta was to somehow be able to super again, because we've got type advantage. All of his defense after supering is very, very good. Now, the one thing you have to remember with the interactions on this team as well is that if you transform with physical Gogeta first, he heals you, so then you won't be able to fuse with STR Vegeta. So always remember that. Very, very important. So let's go ahead and we'll do that now. And then we're not going to transform with Vegeta just yet. I think we'll do this, right? Because then we get more counters off before the rest of the turn plays out. Shouldn't have to worry too much about Gogeta here, because he has the 70% chance to dodge. I mean, with all the counters from Vegeta as well, we probably do just kill him this turn. But we'll see how we get on here. 8.8 for Vegeta. Now, of course, the earlier you transform with these guys, the less powerful Vegeta will be, because the less stacks you get. But, of course, with the massive amount of damage reduction he gets against normals, and the fact that he shows us where all the super attacks are, we don't really have to worry about him getting caught. Because he's only going to be taking normals, and he takes double-digit damage. There's the crit. Yeah, he's getting, what, 3 more? Or 2 more? Yes. Is there 3 attacks or 4 there? Bunch of counters off here. I mean, he might even just kill him with the counters, which is annoying for Vegeta to not get any more stacks, but... Okay, it was 1 more. So yeah, Vegeta just clears him out here with the counters. But the thing is as well, like, the heal is nice, although you can get that from physical Gogeta. The big thing is the fact that we now have the Scouter for 10 turns, which gives us a lot of great opportunities here for being able to tank some of these hits. Like, for example, I will probably leave the I will do the rotations like this now, because we floated off Broly. Ideally, we want this to be our rotation, and we could keep Broly floating if we wanted. Broly, I think he would live a super from the Int Gogeta at the end, after he gets all of his post-super buffs. But because we can now see that that's where the super's going to be, like, why would I put him there when I don't have to? I can put my type advantage Blue Evolution Vegeta there instead. So I'm going to go ahead and transform with Broly, activate Broly's domain, which obviously buffs Vegeta as well. Doesn't buff Vegeta, Blue Evolution Vegeta, but it also doesn't buff Gogeta, right? Because we are getting extreme class allies, attack and defense 10%. Characters on exploding rage or movie bosses get the extra buff, which means Vegeta doesn't get those. But the other thing to remember with his domain is it does mean that superclass enemies and allies take a bit more damage. But with our team, with our superclass allies, we have Blue Evolution Vegeta, who's a really good tank. We have the Super Vegito, who, because we're not going to be putting him in front of supers, can tank normals all day long with the damage reduction that he has. The only one that could be, I guess, a liability is Physical Gogeta because of him relying on dodge. But he also has his target skill, because we transformed him on the previous turn, which means the next time he comes back on the rotation, we have his target ability that we can use. Now, of course, in this stage against Blue Gogeta, the target ability won't do anything against AoEs, but obviously it still removes all of the rest of the attacks from the turn, including the potential super attack, and Gogeta is obviously just going to take 0 damage. So, and of course we have the scouter up from STR Vegeta, so we know where the super attack is anyway. Depending on how the rotation is laid out, we might not even need to use the domain, the target skill ability for Physical Gogeta, but obviously we'll see what the turn's looking like. AGL Broly just going off here, doing what he does. Not getting a lot of crits though, sadly, which means with type disadvantage, the damage is severely nerfed when you're not getting crits. He does have, I think it's what, 54% chance to crit once he's transformed. So, and I mean, just look at all these attacks. Broly's just such a beast. I'm so glad, like, I love the Broly unit and the fact that he's on this team, which is one of the reasons why I like this team so much. We talked about, you know, when Vegeta was coming out for Saiyan Day, that we already knew about the anniversary because of JP. If you summoned for Vegeta, his team got massively buffed by the anniversary characters, because both Gogeta and Broly are on this team. So Vegeta coming in clutch with the big crit, taking him out here, and then we have this turn. So we won't have a domain to use. There's no super on the first turn. That's interesting. So I think what we can do here then is... we could almost get away with putting you in slot 1 just so that Vegeta gets that extra buff, but I don't think we need to do that. So Vegeta does get extra stats and everything from the Vegito. I think in this case it makes sense with the number of attacks. Keep the Vegeta here because of the links. What's he got? 750k defense. So if we do this, and then... oh, I can't get the AGL orbs. Oh, well, never mind. Can't get the AGL orbs for King Vegeta if I do that. I don't think he necessarily needs them in this phase, but I want to get them just to make sure. So we'll go ahead and do this. But yeah, no super attack. He's doing 2 AoEs, but no super attacks. So going to be a nice turn here. Vegeta gets some more stacks off. I mean, we could have transformed Vegeta. He gets the action break after he gets hit. Now that, of course, we did end up putting Vegeta in slot 2, maybe I should have transformed Vegeta. But on the next turn, depending on how much damage we do here, if we don't finish him off, we can transform the other TEQ Vegeta. And then because Gogeta will be at fairly low HP, we can do the Big Bang attack, active skill with TEQ Vegeta, which will do a lot of damage. And then, of course, he has transformed Broly to contend with as well. So King Vegeta dodging the AoE. My King Vegeta does have a full dodge build. Whilst he can tank these big hits, he's obviously, you know, as I always say about support units, he's not on the team to do damage. He's just there to support the team and not get me killed. So he has a full dodge build. The number of times he's dodged super attacks, he's definitely, I think, a great support unit. Very, very good on this team. I mean, his damage, as long as there's a Vegeta on the rotation, his damage isn't that bad either. And with this team, with the 2 TEQ Vegetas and having Blue Evolution Vegeta and STR Goku Vegeta, you pretty much are never going to have a rotation where you don't have a Vegeta on rotation for him to get those extra stats. So he is very, very good. So we got a super and the AoE right at the beginning. So fortunately with this rotation, no one on this team really is in danger of getting damaged by the AoE. So I can transform TEQ Vegeta here. In fact, let's just see. I mean, does the Big Bang attack just kill Gogeta here? We got 4 links active. Do this. 12 mil. Okay, it doesn't quite finish him off. So I don't really even need to use the target ability, because if I use the target ability, Vegeta doesn't get hit in slot 1. And then the super attack, of course, it's not the first attack of the turn, so he doesn't get the action break to get rid of the super. But we get the Dokkan attack now with TEQ Vegeta, so it's just going to be GG, because we're going to get hit first, which means we get our buff. He gets a guaranteed additional super by being hit first when he's in the transformed state, and we're doing the Dokkan attack. So, well, managed to miss those two somehow, despite it going incredibly slow. But yeah, so Vegeta should finish off Gogeta here. 13.6 mil with the Dokkan attack buff, and then he's getting at least 1 extra super as well. At least 1. So, and it's the active skill turn, so we should be getting crits on all of these as well. So then that's all she wrote for Blue Gogeta. So the TEQ Vegeta team, off to a great start. Very, very good. Getting the Vegito fusion. I mean, that can be... There are some issues potentially depending on how the fight plays out, but that can also be the same with other teams as well. Things like, you know, it's kind of like the joke we make all the time, the suffering from success meme, because if you don't ever drop to a low enough HP where you can fuse Vegeta and Goku into STR Vegito, there are some of the harder hitting bosses later on, especially those that buff their attack on when they super, who their normals will actually do a lot of damage to them. But as long as you get Vegito out, then obviously the Scouter, the heal, all the counter damage, like this team can just go crazy. Full power Broly with his domain up does ridiculous damage. So there you go, that is the team versus the Gogeta stage, and we will jump straight into Beast Gohan. Okay, so jumping into the Beast Gohan fight. Unfortunately, we do have both the Vegetas on turn 1. So one of them is going to have to get floated off. It will be the friend one, because the friend one is Rainbow. My one has 1 dupe. So when it comes to these situations where you get both your leaders on turn 1, especially when they are stackers, if they're not stackers, I would usually keep the Rainbow one on rotation just so we can have the more powerful one around for longer. But when it comes to units that stack, obviously the Rainbow one is already more powerful than my one. So my one being a little bit behind needs to get some stacks in order to kind of keep up. You don't want the more powerful one getting all the stacks, and then the weaker one, once you get later into the event, has not gotten as many supers and therefore is still at a much lower rate in terms of their defense. But at least it's only turn 1, so we will get the other Vegeta back on turn 4. But it does mean that we don't exactly have the slot 1 unit of choice. I mean, we have Blue Evolution Vegeta who can go in slot 1. Whilst he's got type disadvantage here, he does get guard on his first turn. If there's a decent amount of attacks in slot 1, that would be nice, because obviously we can start building up his revival. But yeah, ideally with the TEQ Vegeta team, you do really want to have both Vegetas on the first turn. So honestly, like if I was trying to do a difficult mission or just trying to beat a difficult event for the first time, as long as it's not limited attempts per day, I would probably just quit out and restart until I had a Vegeta on turn 1 and on turn 2, because, you know, it can be something that you can overcome it. It's not like if you start with both Vegetas on the first turn, you know, you're going to lose, but it's just a bit annoying. And if you do have the option to, with some of these events like Cell Max, for example, that don't have the limited attempts, you can just kind of restart until you get one on both rotations. But at least the good thing is it's turn 1, because if it's turn 2, if you didn't beat the phase in 1 turn, chances are your Vegeta in slot 3 isn't going to even get to attack, because you're going to kill the unit before the end of the phase. So here we can put you in this slot. We're going to float you off straight away so you can transform when you come back, because it is 4th turn from the entry turn. If it was just turn 4, we could keep him on rotation and he would transform next turn. But because it's from the entry turn, one of the big strategies for that physical Gogeta, I've said it many times already, but it's you float him off and then he can transform on the turn he comes back, and then on the next turn after that, that's when you have access to his active skill with the target ability. And of course, Beast Gohan doesn't do AoEs, and you can dodge, so the target ability is obviously very powerful against him. The idea is probably going to be to save it for when we get him on rotation against Beast Gohan and we see what the rotation is looking like, because obviously if he locks a character in slot 1 who really doesn't want to be in slot 1, then that's the perfect time to use that Gogeta active skill, because then he's going to take all the attacks anyway. So, and then STR Goku and Vegeta, ideally we get as many super attacks with them as early as possible so we can get their stacks off, but we do obviously want to take some damage at some point and get the Vegito fusion. So we'll see how we get on with them. So we got back to this rotation. King Vegeta here, Broly. I mean, this is a very good setup for us. We can go ahead and grab the orb here for you. Grab the STR orbs for Broly. And then have all these AGL orbs ready for King Vegeta. King Vegeta is still just this fantastic mana unit. I mean, I talked about him a bunch in the first clip, so we don't need to keep glazing him here. But he is very, very good. Obviously supporting the whole rotation here because Broly is a pure Saiyan. TEQ Vegeta eats that nicely in slot 1, and then we start getting the attacks off. So yeah, everything's good here. Gohan is AGL. The good thing about this team as well is I think it's only like Blue Evolution Vegeta's 18 key super that is a key blast. So we don't have one of these setups where he's like nullifying the super attack for like half our team. Now, in some ways that's good, in some ways that's bad, right? Because this AGL Gohan phase isn't really that tough for this team at all. So if we got stuck in this phase for a few extra turns because he was nullifying half the team's super attacks, it would mean that units like Vegeta, the Goku and Vegeta that fuse, like we'd get loads of extra stacks for them, which of course would then be beneficial for the Beast Gohan phase. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, you could always switch out someone for another unit that is good on the team that does have a Key Blast Super to give you that little bit of extra stalling, but it's not like the team needs that necessarily. So it's just something to bear in mind, that by having very few characters who will be negated by Gohan, it means we can get through this phase very, very quickly, which on a team where you have a lot of units that want to get stacks, is not necessarily the best thing. So I want to make sure you are getting hit to get that revival, so I'm going to let you go first, because I don't think Blue Evolution Vegeta will kill. It does mean though, again, no stacks for the Goku and Vegeta. This is something I touched on in the first part in the Gogeta fight, where there are a lot of units on this team that want to get stacks, and depending on how the rotations play out, you know, sometimes certain characters are just not going to get stacks, which is a little bit annoying, but usually works out okay in the end, depending on, I guess, whether you, there's always going to be RNG involved, right? So depends where the super attacks are going to be, because obviously Gohan super attacking Goku and Vegeta at the end of the turn, if we don't kill him this turn, would be super awkward. But he's just going to super Blue Evolution Vegeta, so post super and getting hit once already for that little bit of extra damage reduction, he's not going to take much damage from this, if any. Well, apart from double digits, obviously. And then because Goku and Vegeta are on the rotation in slot 3, TEQ Vegeta could get that extra super potentially. So I think we probably do kill him this turn. It would be nice actually for TEQ Vegeta to not kill him, and then STR Goku and Vegeta to get a bunch of supers off here and finish him off, but I guess we'll see. At least we know they're not getting supered as well, so that's fine. The other thing to bear in mind as well, of course, is we floated off physical Gogeta, so when he comes back, he's going to be able to transform. But as I mentioned in the previous one as well, that's something that could potentially come back to bite you when it comes to trying to get the STR Vegito fusion, because of course we need to be below a certain HP threshold. And if we keep getting those big heals from the physical Gogeta transformation, that's going to make that a little bit more difficult. But I think we can... See, I think what I need to do here, we probably want Gogeta back as early as possible. Although if I don't float him, he's going to end up on the same turn as the Goku and Vegeta. So this is something else to think about here. So we'll do this. I will transform you, because we're on full health anyway, so his start of turn heal doesn't do anything. And then we'll grab those. Broly's not going to get to attack anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then grab those for you. So let's see how we go. I don't know how many times Blue Evolution Vegeta has been hit. If Blue Evolution Vegeta has his revival up, then obviously this will go decently well, because even on the next turn, if we get like a bad rotation lock, we should still be fine. Oh, Vegeta did one super, yeah, as well as, again, what I was talking about at the very beginning, right, when you don't have a Goku unit on the rotation, then Vegeta can often not get a lot of super attacks off. But, and of course, both Vegeta's being on slot 1 means that that's the turn that his intro buff starts counting down from. So then having to float him off and everything, you don't have the best setup. Okay, he locked Blue Evolution Vegeta in slot 3, so that's really good, because Blue Evolution Vegeta, he'll be perfectly fine. This guy's probably getting supered in slot 1, 793k. I think because he didn't get a lot of stacks before we got to this point, I think I'm not going to transform him just yet. And then we can grab those, gives you the 24 key. No, it doesn't. I miscounted by 1. Good stuff. And then of course he's going to super in slot 1. So this is the thing, you need Vegeta to be stacked up well enough that you're then not going to be getting absolutely destroyed by Beast Gohan, because you don't get to stack anymore unless he just doesn't super in slot 1. But fortunately though, Vegeta taking that kind of damage means that we are going to then be set up for the Vegito fusion, and because we floated off Gogeta, we don't have Gogeta on the next turn, so he's not going to give us the start of turn heal, which obviously would be kind of annoying if we were trying to get that Vegito fusion. So actually we should be set up pretty nicely here. Blue Evolution Vegeta and King Vegeta will tank the normals from Beast Gohan. So yeah, King Vegeta, 6.6. So he doesn't have as many links with Blue Evolution Vegeta as he does with TEQ Vegeta, but still very good rotation for him. There's a dodge straight away. Another dodge. 3-3? No, okay. But he takes double-digit damage, so it's fine. So who's getting locked where? Oh, Broly locked in slot 3. Is that it? Okay. So go ahead and fuse. I mean, all the attacks are in slot 1, so any guesses where the super attack's going to be? So, I mean, this Vegeta doesn't have as much defense, and we didn't start the turn on a high amount of defense either. But Broly's domain will give a buff to TEQ Vegeta, so we will do that. I mean, I think STR Vegeta, he's only got 600k. Would he live a super from this guy? I don't think he would. I mean, the super is the final attack, so he is going to get the defense buff after he gets hit. He's got guard. I think he should be okay. But again, he's going to get stunned. So there's no point me transforming him, because all the extra buffs that he would get from transforming, he's not going to get, because he's going to get stunned before he gets a chance to attack. If the super attack was in slot, like after he attacked, that would be so much better. But obviously that is the case a lot of the time with these units. We got the defense buff. Beast Gohan does obviously hit quite hard, but the domain buff from Broly, we still take 500k, but we're still hanging in there. Absolutely wild that we take that kind of damage. But then next turn, we get the start of turn heal from Physical Gogeta, then we can use Physical Gogeta's target ability, so we should be looking very good. 22 million from the transformed Broly. He's obviously getting like Super Saiyan and Legendary power from the STR Vegito. So Broly going to be able to do a lot of damage here. And then with the target ability next turn, we are going to be looking good. I might even transform Vegeta just because Beast Gohan should be on low enough HP that we can get the Big Bang attack. Obviously we miss out on, because we're using Gogeta's target ability, we miss out on Vegeta actually taking a hit for the turn to get his buffs. But obviously the Scouter is going to show us how that would play out anyway. We got the revival as well, but yeah, the super's in slot 1. Like if there was no super in slot 1, let's say if the super was in the middle, I could quite easily transform Vegeta, not use the active skill, but you know, we'll go ahead and do this. In fact, we might, can we kill him with just the active skills? Maybe. Do this. Target ability for you. Do a nice bit of damage as well. He's going to dodge the super. And then transform TEQ Vegeta. Big Bang attack with TEQ Vegeta. 18.5 mil. And there you go. TEQ Vegeta will be able to finish him off. So Physical Gogeta will dodge all the attacks thanks to the target ability. And then TEQ Vegeta will finish off Beast Gohan here. So yeah, that worked out quite nicely. It's one of those things, like I say, sometimes with the STR Goku and Vegeta on the team, it's like sometimes you need somebody to take a slap for like 200k, 300k, because then you just get to pop their transformation. And, you know, rotation locking can scupper things because, as we said, right, you can see the supers in slot 1, you're locked in slot 1, what can you do about it? But in most scenarios, the scouter effect then just can almost like coast you to victory after that, right? Because for every round on after that, for 10 turns, which none of these fights are going to go much longer than that. I mean, Cell Max can, depending on how well you get started, but you're going to have that scouter pretty much right up to the end. So, but there you go. That's the TEQ Vegeta team versus Beast Gohan. Very good. Like, sometimes things do need to come together in the right way with the transformations and things like that, but the team, very, very good. And we will move on to Cell Max Stage 2. Okay, so last but not least, we have the Cell Max Stage 2 fight. Now, this one has been very interesting for the Vegeta team, I have to say, because this is not my first attempt at doing the stage. And it's certainly very interesting because TEQ Vegeta, as good as he can be defensively, if he gets super attacked like straight away by Cell Max, he takes so much damage. And obviously he's our slot 1 unit for the turn, for both turns. So in these early phases, like, he really can end up taking quite a lot of damage, which then of course puts us in an awkward situation for the next turn, because then we're in the same boat again, where TEQ Vegeta is supposed to be our slot 1 unit, but if he eats another big super in slot 1, he's going to take a lot of damage. So this run is going to be very, very RNG dependent, because like King Vegeta, if he takes a super from Cell Max post super, he's not going to take that much damage. Blue Evolution Vegeta, funnily enough, he can take a lot of damage still as well, depending on how many times he gets hit first to get that extra damage reduction. But yeah, 373k from Cell Max on TEQ Vegeta, post him getting his super attacks as well. So that puts us in a position now where we're at 30% HP. So if the same thing happens again on the next turn, then we just die. So this is going to be, I've had quite a few attempts at loading in for this stage, and I haven't made it past turn 2 yet, because the same thing just keeps happening, right? Now, obviously, if he super attacked King Vegeta in turn 1, we'd be okay, or on turn 2, right? Even if we did take a big super on turn 1. So the problem for this team with Cell Max is the early game, because once we get to the point where he can have status effects put on him, TEQ Vegeta seals. So TEQ Vegeta can just seal him like every turn, and then that's it, GG. I need to float you off, because these guys actually take quite a bit of damage from his normal attacks as well. The thing is, you have guard, but you don't dodge, so I actually don't know if you are in a better situation to take a super than Vegeta, to be honest. But if we do that, we can grab those, get a bit of a heal. But yeah, I mean, I'll include it here because, I mean, again, I've had multiple attempts, so as much as it's one of those things where I don't want to admit defeat, especially as we said at the beginning, right, like you would potentially change team builds a little bit based on the certain event that you're taking on. But yeah, this team has actually struggled quite a bit to even get past the very beginning here against Cell Max. Now, obviously, you know, part of the challenge of these videos to test out these teams in the toughest events is I haven't been using items. And of course, if you were to throw up a Whis, that protects you for the first 2 turns. Your second Whis would protect you for the next 2 turns. And then you get to that point where Cell Max can then be sealed, and then you can just absolutely steamroll all over him. So I guess we will jump back in here and maybe try that just to see how we get on. But I mean, straight away, this kind of shows that when it comes to this event in particular, this team isn't on the level of Superheroes and the Reps of Universe 7, right? Because both of them, for the previous videos where we were going over these teams, I managed to get through Cell Max, I think literally on the first try with no items. Whereas this team, we need, where's Whis? There he is. We need that little bit of extra build up right at the beginning in order for these guys to survive these big attacks. And of course, now we get a setup where we don't have Vegeta on turn 1, but fortunately it doesn't matter because we're going to use the Whis anyway, because I do want to still get the run in here at the end, just to kind of show these guys actually, you know, the team actually doing some work here. But the problem is that the early turns are just way too dangerous for this team, especially with how often Selmax will super attack very early in the turn. Because like I say, once you get to the point where he can be sealed, then that's it. We just win at that point. Because not only do Vegeta keep sealing him, but everyone on the team will have built up their defense to the kind of level where they're not going to take damage from normal attacks. So we don't really need to worry about his normals, and that's all he's going to be able to do because he's going to be sealed. So it's a little bit disappointing that you potentially have to use an item to get through this early part. I mean, like I said, we talk about this all the time. Like, a lot of people don't care about doing no item challenges unless there's specifically a mission to not use items. Then realistically there isn't any actual reason to not use them. But it's just one of those things where when we're comparing these teams and trying to see, like, you know, who's the best, what kind of tiers would we put these teams in when we're talking about the best teams in the game, the big difference that we've noticed here with this Vegeta team is that they very much struggle in these early turns against Selmax. Some of it is still RNG. Like, I mean, someone could be watching this, jump in with Vegeta's team and just no item this straight away on the first attempt. Some of it is going to depend very much on, like, where the super attack is on the turn. Like Broly, even without the Whis, you could see there we took 80k, which means without a Whis he's still only taking, what, like 170, 180, which is much, much better. King Vegeta post super attack would take not that much damage either. So you could get very lucky in the early turns, but the problem is he does very regularly super in slot 1, and the main strategy for the TEQ Vegeta team is that he is your slot 1 tank. So obviously if he's eating a super straight away on the first turn and taking that kind of damage, then that doesn't bode well for us overall. So we also had both the Vegetas for this run on turn 2, which is kind of annoying, because we'll float these guys off, we'll not get this guy back until turn 5. But as we've said, sealing does last for 2 turns anyway, so it's not like we're going to miss out on a turn of sealing him once status effects actually do become available. But I mean, yeah, the thing is, it is disappointing for me, because like I said, I had multiple attempts that I just died on turn 2, and then decided, you know, hey, we're showing off what the teams can do in these events. If we're going to keep dying in turn 2, then we should show that that's what happens. And then we'll jump back in here with an item just to see us getting past these first couple of turns. But yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Of course, like I say, you could change up the team build. I'm trying to think in terms of like Super Saiyans and Vegeta family, like for TEQ Vegeta's build, who would you put on this team instead of some of the other units for Selmax? Future Gohan is really, really good. Like, post super has a lot of damage reduction, but of course he's not a slot 1 unit either. And that's the big thing, the slot 1 units for this team, TEQ Vegeta, Blue Evolution Vegeta, like, these characters are still taking a lot of damage from a Selmax super if they eat it straight away at the start of the turn. So that is something that we do have to keep in mind. So I'm gonna... Selmax does hit quite hard. He hits these guys quite hard with his normals. So we're on turn 3. I'm gonna pop the other Whis here and then go ahead and start getting this build up. Blue Evolution Vegeta, I don't know how many times we did get hit on the first turn, but getting his revival up is obviously going to be very useful as well. Now, that's one of the things we were discussing on the podcast last night about UI Goku versus Blue Evolution Vegeta, the 2 6-year LRs. If Vegeta had UI Goku's revival condition, then if one of the Vegetas, like say TEQ Vegeta takes that big slap on turn 1, and then on turn 2 you have Blue Evolution Vegeta, he would have his revival active. But because his one needs to be activated by taking hits, which in events where you don't get hit super hard in the first couple of turns is more beneficial, in this case obviously it doesn't help us, right? Because we want him to get hit a whole bunch of times to build up to his revival, but he too is a character that, like, if you put him in slot 1 on turn 1 and then he eats a super attack, then he does actually take quite a lot of damage. So this team definitely not as well suited to the Selmax event as some of the other teams, which is a shame, because like I said, I really like this team, but I guess it's one of those things, not every team is going to be super good in every single event. But it is a bit of a shame for the Vegeta team to kind of fall at the final hurdle here when it comes to matching up to those other teams. And as I've said already, like, it's RNG. I'm sure someone watching this will have already no-itemed it with Vegeta's team anyway. obviously with maybe a different team build. I did say at the very beginning of the video, as I've already mentioned, that's kind of one of the things of this challenge is trying to run the same team build for all 3 stages, but Cell Max definitely is a stumbling block for this particular team build. Not to say that Vegeta's team built completely differently couldn't be in a better spot here, but it does still suffer from, you're always going to suffer from the fact that you do want TEQ Vegeta kind of on rotation as one of your main defensive units, but for his first turn at least, before he starts getting a bunch of these stacks off, he is going to be taking big damage from the Cell Max super attack. Because once we get him sealed, and then we get to the point, you know, where we're like transforming Broly into full power and stuff like that, the amount of damage that we're going to be putting out is going to be incredibly high. And so obviously we're going to be kind of steamrolling over this guy. In fact, because we have the Whis active, I can put you in slot 1. He actually gives an extra buff to allies when he attacks, because with the Whis and then getting 3 AGL orbs, King Vegeta actually has over 100% damage reduction. So, or actually I think it's just spot on 100%, right? Because he gets 60% from getting 3 orbs. Or he just dodges the super anyway. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? Like turn 1, we could put King Vegeta in slot 1 without an item, and he could do that and dodge that super. And then this team is already off to a much better start. But like I said, I had a good like 3 or 4 attempts before the one at the start of this clip, and every single time I was taking like a 400 or 500k super on turn 1. But now here we go, we get to turn 4. Now he can be sealed, and so that's basically all she wrote for this fight. It is literally now at this point just a matter of time until we win, because from now on he can't super attack, and basically nobody on the team is going to take damage from normals. The STR Goku and Vegeta can be at risk, especially in the first turn, but once they start getting some stacks off, they should be fine. Obviously we'll have physical Gogeta's target ability once that comes online the next time he's on rotation, but again, even then, like, he's sealed now, so it's basically GG. The big thing, of course, with Cell Max is it then becomes like, it's this like endurance kind of event, because he has so much HP, and of course it means we won't be transforming with TEQ Vegeta, because obviously he loses the ability to seal on super attack, but that's perfectly fine. We don't even really need to worry about how much ki we get for you. But yeah, with him sealed, does a little bit of damage to Vegeta, but that's all he can do, right? It's not like he's suddenly, in a lot of these situations where a boss isn't sealed, you see that you're actually taking damage from normals, and it's like, oh god, if he super attacks me now, I'm just dead, because I'm taking damage from normals. But he can't do super attacks anymore for the whole of the rest of the fight, because every single turn now, Vegeta in slot 1 is going to seal him, and then that's it. So it basically is just a matter of time. I want to see some like big damage and some good turns from these guys, because part of me is tempted to just kind of end the video there, because at this point, like, we cannot lose, right? We've already transformed Gogeta, so he's going to be giving us some healing. Blue Evolution Vegeta's revival is active. Like, we just can't lose at this point. But I do want to see Broly transform and go ham a little bit as well, so we will get a couple of extra turns in here at least, depending on how quickly we can whittle down his HP. And then, of course, STR Goku and Vegeta. I mean, then them having an opportunity here on this turn to not get hit at all is obviously super beneficial, because we can get a couple of extra stacks in here with them without worrying too much about them taking damage. Because, yeah, once we get a few stacks off with them, they should be able to tank all of his normals more than suitably. So we'll go ahead and do this. Transform you. Broly's domain does buff Cell Max, of course, which I guess is kind of awkward for some of the superclass units on the team. But as he can't super attack now, it's still only normals. If we get the opportunity to transform STR Goku and Vegeta, that would be super beneficial, because having the scouter and then countering all the attacks would be very nice, but I don't think we really need to worry about it too much. I mean, Broly here with 24 ki, with the links and support from the Vegeta and King Vegeta, should be able to do quite a lot of damage. And then, yeah, there we go. Keep the seal going. Full power Broly, 21.5. Remember that each of Cell Max's HP bars is like 30 million. So Broly doing an 11 million crit is nice, but it's like a third of his HP bar, and he has 10 of them in total. But Broly, of course, is a character that can get so many attacks off in one turn. Once he's transformed, he's got a pretty decent crit chance, so we should be looking good here. Yeah, we're just going to keep attacking with Broly, keep getting crits. Got Cell Max down to almost about half HP here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the TEQ VEGETA team. I mean, just because this one event can be very difficult straight off the bat doesn't mean that the team is like not good anymore. It'd be interesting to try this team out against the Blue Evolution Vegeta fight that we have currently as the final stage of the Universe Survival Saga Blue Zone, because I think Minato was saying on the stream last night that the first phase against the Evo Ken, their super attack hits for like 2 point something million, which means that TEQ VEGETA unfortunately would be in a similar situation to what he's in here against Cell Max, where if we're taking a super attack right away from him at the beginning of the turn, then obviously that would be super awkward. But we don't need to use this here. I might actually definitely don't need to use the target ability here, but I kind of want to use the target ability to potentially protect STR Goku and Vegeta, but to do that I would have to leave this guy on rotation, which I don't really want to do here. So I think we will active skill with Vegeta, do a bit of extra damage, and then go ahead and get the seal. I mean, I guess to be fair, physical Gogeta could die if he doesn't dodge at the end, so I guess there's no reason not to use the active skill. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter because of the revival, he wouldn't die anyway. And then to be fair, we kind of probably would want to push for the revival so that we can have the buffed version of Blue Evolution Vegeta, but I guess it doesn't matter now. So we'll do this, and then do... Oh yeah, all the rainbow orbs basically disappeared. Do this, and yeah, keep our boy sealed. Blue Evolution Vegeta are going to do a decent bit of damage as well. Got some extra links obviously from the Blue Gogeta having transformed, so this will be a good turn for him. 21 mil, 24 key, so guaranteed crits. What damage is he doing here? Yes, he did 12 mil, and only an additional normal though, sadly. This guy just has so much HP. Like, it's actually ridiculous. All three of these videos so far with trying out these teams in these three events, it's this third one that takes the longest just because he has so much HP. But as I already said, right, like, it's just a done deal at this point. He can't ever super me, so it's very unlikely that I'm going to die at any point here. In fact, the next rotation that we get STR Goku and Vegeta back on is this rotation with Blue Evolution Vegeta, so even if they were to die to a normal from Cell Max at the end of the turn, we would just get the Blue Evolution Vegeta revival, so we would be all good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still in two minds, like I said. Do I just end the run here because we're very obviously going to win, or do we play it out and see Cell Max's demise in the video? I guess we might as well at this point. It's probably going to take a couple minutes more at most. Shout out to anyone who is here in the video at this point. Leave me a comment down below, hashtag Team Vegeta, if you've made it to this point of the video. Shout out to you. We will get Cell Max finished off here. Oh, we didn't have... Okay, it is this rotation. Okay, well, I guess we just do this then, so they don't even get attacked. We're going to get the Dokkan attack next turn. What is their defense up to anyway? 687. I mean, they should be fine from normals at this point, but I guess it is what it is. The Dokkan attack from Vegeta is not going to do insane damage, but... Oh, that's going fast. Okay, I see you. But yeah, Broly at the end is going to be the one that does the big damage for the turn, so... Go ahead and get the Dokkan attack here with Vegeta. Hopefully he does some decent damage. Not going to do anything too crazy. If he could crit, that would be nice, but it's the ceiling that just absolutely renders this guy completely useless against us now. So can't do any damage to Vegeta, of course, and hopefully, I mean, STR Vegeta, oh well, STR Goku and Vegeta, they share a few links with Broly here, so Broly's not exactly in a bad spot in slot 3. They don't do a huge amount of damage though, but I suppose we could start transforming the TEQ Vegetas to potentially get like the Big Bang Attack active skill, which does do a lot of damage, especially when Vegeta's had a lot of build up. I've seen it crit for like well over 30 million, which of course, funnily enough, is only 1 HP bar for Cell Max. But yeah, we should be good here with Broly's super attacks. Full power Broly is still such a fun unit to use. I said going into the anniversary that he was the unit that I was like most looking forward to, and I ended up doing a lot of extra summons on his banner specifically so I could get an extra copy, or so I could get a single copy of the Int Golden Frieza. But as the summoning luck would work out, whilst it took me quite a while to pull Golden Frieza, I ended up getting Broly to 90%. And he's just such a fun unit. Like I love the fact that he's on this team. Yeah, very fun unit. Didn't get a lot of crits, unfortunately. So, Cell Max just hanging in there. Turn 9 we're on now. But we can go ahead and grab this. Grab these. And then do this. This has got to be it. Come on. With the amount of damage that Blue Evolution Vegeta could do. We got the support from King Vegeta. We got 24 key. I mean, like I said, I mentioned it earlier, right, a couple of minutes ago, more than that even now, but very much Cell Max is like an endurance fight, because you have to get past the first couple of stages where things can be tricky. Like, I mean, we don't have any characters on this team who lower attack, but at this point he can be attack lowered. So if you combine the two, like sealing him and attack lowering him, like, it is then just a case of counting down his HP bar because he can't kill you. So, a bit of a disappointment that we had to use items at the very beginning to be able to get to this point, but once we do reach this point, the team is just kind of like, I guess apart from the fact it might do stupid stuff like float off TEQ Vegeta, once we get to the turn where we've sealed Cell Max, we could probably just put it on auto and still win. So, it does make a huge difference. King Vegeta, I mean, maybe if he crits, will he kill him here? No. So we still have to have one more turn. I mean, I guess we just finish him off with the Big Bang Attack, right? So the domain ends for Broly, and then we'll just go ahead and do this. So there you go. That's Cell Max Stage 2 beaten with the Vegeta team. Unfortunately, we did need to use items to get past the very beginning. As I've said, you could get the good RNG and not need to, but I feel like, unfortunately, as much as I love this team, that does show when put next to reps of Universe 7 and Superheroes that those teams are in that tier above this team. Even though I do think this is one of the most fun teams and still in consideration, if you said like, what are some of the best teams in the game, I think this one would still be up there, but you can see the comparison to Superhero and reps of Universe 7 with the fact that we had to use items at the very beginning just because of how much damage even our defensive units are taking in slot 1 from a super attack from Cell Max. So there you go, that is the TEQ Vegeta from Saiyan Day team versus the 3 toughest bosses from the anniversary, Blue Gogeta, Beast Gohan and Cell Max Stage 2. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What is your favourite build for the TEQ Vegeta team? What team would you use against Cell Max? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, all that other good stuff. I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.